these incidences happened far off, from Lusaka in Muchinga. They are just returning from Chinsali, am I to understand?
Yes, please.
Just run us through the last activities of the last, 24 hours for you. For me, the question is, these allegations or offences were committed in Lusaka. Why were they reported in Muchinga, and who reported you to the police in Muchinga?
There are so many anomalies with this whole liquidation of the post. It is actually a criminal enterprise. The whole liquidation of the post is a criminal enterprise. As I'm talking to you today, the judge who was dealing with this, Judge Sanden Konde, he's sitting as the judge, he's on the bench on a stay. There was a complaint raised against him with the Judicial Complaints Commission. Before they could hear that, he obtained a stay. A stay that was obtained in a manner that is also questionable. So you have a judge who is sitting on the bench on a stay. 2, the liquidation that Mr. Mosho has is provisional liquidation. No other party was heard. It was granted ex parte by Judge Nkonde. We have never been heard as shareholders of the post. We have never been heard as directors of the post. No employee of the post or other interest parties in post has ever been heard. The company is being liquidated on a provisional liquidation order obtained ex parte. We have never been heard. Nobody has ever been heard with the liquidation of the post. The whole thing has been done in such a corrupt manner, and a manner that cannot be said to be anywhere near transparent.
They say there's no smoke without fire, really, and you, like you're saying even in your statement, that this is wild and malicious. Surely the people taking you to police must have cause or evidence.
What is the basis of all this? The truth is, they cannot do anything without lies. They cannot do anything without calumny, without propaganda, because the whole enterprise is anchored on lies. It is a dishonest enterprise. The liquidation of the post was not done in the right way, and is still not being done in the right way. And when you don't do things in the right way, you have to cover up all the time. If you tell a lie, you have to create more lies to cover up that first lie, and the lies become endless. Their criminal activities around the post will not end. But the post is not about me. As I've said before, the post is not about me. If it was about me, the matter would have ended a long time. With or without me, this matter will continue.
But probably the matter is not ending because it has everything to do with you than everybody else that was working or was at the post. You seem to be the target.
I am the target, but mistakenly so. They think they can deal with me. They closed the post to deal with me. But the post was far much bigger than me. Yes, we created the post. The assets that they have stolen today from the post, we did not find them. That was not a company bequeathed us. We created the company from nothing. All the capital that the post used is capital that we put in, we ourselves. We sacrificed literally everything that we had. How do you steal from a company where you could easily get a dividend? I held almost all the shares in the post. I could have easily paid myself a dividend. The post had distributable profits. It was making profits.
So
but for 26, 27 years, the post has never paid a dividend to anybody.
What do you guarantee on this interview that being the sole shareholder, which means you had all the voting rights, you had all the absolute, power? How do you then guarantee good, corporate governance? Who provided the checks and balances for you?
There was a board of directors, chaired by someone else. I did not chair that board of directors. I was not the sole director. There were directors. The company was properly run, with a professional management on top of that. And with something that you will never find in any corporate entity, what we used to call the staff meetings. The staff meetings involved every employee of the post. The employees of the post knew what the post was making, knew how that money was being spent. They knew. Every month they would meet to discuss the affairs of the post. That you don't find in a corporate entity. Maybe you may find in a political party or in an NGO, but not in a company. So the post was run very different. The levels of accountability were very high. And from the very beginning, there was a separation between me as a shareholder and director and the company. The assets of the post were not my assets. They were assets of the post. So were the liabilities of the post. They were not mine. If the liabilities of the post were mine, they would have been put on me. If the assets of the post were mine, nobody would question me. But the same people who are trying to slander me today are the same people who have tried to put the liabilities of the post on me.
To clear the air so that it doesn't come out as slanderous because of social media today, what is your reaction again to assertions? First of all, were you drawing a hefty salary at the post? Two, where some also accuse you that your employees sometimes would go months without salaries, yet you would spend on big cars and buying yourself property. How would you react to that?
I worked for 11 years at the post without a ngwe, without any income for 11 years, from 1991 until about 2011, 2012.
How did you survive?
I had other things. I didn't come from the street when I started the post. If I came from the street, how would I start it? Where would the capital come from and everything? I had other things running. I was a professional. I was an accountant. I didn't come from the street. I didn't come from Katondo Street. No. I came from somewhere. It was only in 2011 or thereabout when I started having a salary. My salary is not me giving myself. It's the board giving me a salary. And like every person who is employed, you get a salary that is approved by the board. Unfortunately for me, even my salary, I was not drawing it. And even what I drew as a salary, it ended up with other people. I have a chain of other people. I've had maybe more than 30 or 35 kids I was supporting with the school. I've had so many other things. So my salary went there. I had nothing much from it. So, but if I wanted money, I could have gotten a dividend. For 27 years, the company, for 26 years, the company never paid a dividend. The post has never paid a dividend.
It was not profitable?
It was profitable.
Did not make profits?
It made a profit. How could it grow? To the big company to grow from a weekly newspaper to such a big company. We are plowing back the profits. We never took them out. We never took them out. I drew a salary. I never got one ingwe that was not my due at the post. And look, the post was not a briefcase company. It was not a cantemba. It was a big company with professional accountants. Even the sale of the property they're talking about had nothing to do with it.
Let's get into the detail of this, the crux of the matter, so that the viewers follow us, very well. How have we reached to this point? I mean, back to my question. For somebody watching, would think the matter of the post is a dead issue. Why are these arrests coming up all over again? And what are these properties? Run us through this property in Olympia and the money that you're accused, of, for lack of a better term, stealing. $830,000. And this property in Olympia. You sold this while the newspaper was in liquidation. These are the allegations.
No. The property they're talking about was not sold when the company was in liquidation. It was sold before anything else, before anybody had any claim on it.
When was it sold according to your...
I'm not sure of the dates because I did not transact that. But a decision was made by the board to dispose of some property or a property to meet some obligations that were due. There were tax obligations that were due. A decision was made to dispose of some assets to improve the liquidity of the company.
The same plot number, stand number 3815 in Olympia on Great East Road.
Yes, it was sold, but not by me. There were managers who were dealing with that. And it was bought, I think, by a Chinese national. The money, as far as I know or have been told, the money went into the bank account of the company. And from there, most of it was used to pay ZRI. Those transactions, Comrade Costa, they are verifiable. You can go
and you say bank. There are people alive who transacted, who
all
can verify?
Of them are alive. None of them is dead.
So why the hullabaloo if this documentation can be presented?
If the police were professional, they would have not even approached me. If the police were professional, after Mr. Mosho laid a complaint with them, they could have gone to the bank to check. They could start with the person who bought the property. The person who bought the property is still there. They have built a new property on the plot. They demolished the house that was there and built some new property on it. They are still there. They would have gone to them and asked them, how did they pay? Who did they pay? The money went through the bank. It was a bank transfer. They can go to the bank and check how that money was disbursed. If it went to any individual, they can trace it. So it's a very simple thing. But the police did nothing of that because the police are not acting professionally. This is a highly politicized matter. They are under a lot of pressure politically.
How do we expect a provisional liquidator who's a competent, legal counsel to fall into what you're accusing him of trying to fight you, politically? Surely somebody with competence as a lawyer should have evidence somewhere.
I'm sorry to say this, and if Mr. Mosho feels offended, let him sue me. He is a criminal. He's a criminal.
On what justification?
He's a criminal in a lawyer's robe. It's not new. Mr. Mosho is not new to court cases. It's not new. He's very lucky to be actually practicing as a lawyer. He's very, very lucky. Only the post, he will not be able to account for the money of the properties they are sold. And as a shareholder and as a director, I'll call him one day to account. The employees of the company who worked tirelessly to get to raise the company to where it was, will call him to account one day. And other interested parties will call him to account. He has a duty to render an account. He will not be able to account for the money. And it will not be the first time Mr. Mosho is failing to do that.
You are challenging him also to release audited accounts of, assets?
Yes, they have stolen the assets of the post.
Again, for the sake of just guiding our viewers, this afternoon, you say the post was not a Kantemba company. It was profitable enough and a big corporate, entity. How did you find yourselves failing to pay taxes? We
didn't fail to pay taxes. There's no company that is a going concern that does not have tax liabilities. A tax liability arose, and they arise all the time. Every month you have taxes to pay. ZRI came with a ridiculous demand, some millions that I can't remember. Our accountants raised objections that the figure was wrong. We contracted our auditors. They came in and the auditors agreed that the figures were wrong. We put on the auditors to reconcile with ZRI. ZRI bolted. They did not want to reconcile. We went to the Tax Appeals Tribunal. The Tax Appeals Tribunal ordered ZRI to vacate the post and let the business run and reconcile the figures with the post accountants and their auditors. They refused to do so. And what happened? Ignoring the order, the illegitimate court order, they liquidated, they closed the company and pushed it into liquidation eventually.
For simple reference to the viewers again, because I want them to appreciate our discussion, today. When a company goes into liquidation, it simply means that you are so indebted that the only thing is you're not healthy enough. Your assets need to be sold to pay what you're owing. Was that the status of the post, that you were not business viable enough to pay ZRA?
That's what it's supposed to be. The company was not actually even liquidated by ZRA. Mr. Mosho connived with 1 or 2 or 3 former employees of the post who said they were owed their salaries. Money that was so small and used that to push the company into liquidation on an ex parte order without hearing the other side. There was no even verification. Do you owe these employees? And they were not even the highest paid employees. Does the company owe them? That was not done. Are the amounts they are demanding correct? That was not done. Mr. Sunday Nkonde, in his capacity as a judge, just granted that ex parte order of provisional liquidation. The company is still on provisional liquidation. It's being liquidated with a provisional liquidation order. Not a full liquidation order, but a provisional one. We have never been heard.
How worth was the post at the time it was being liquidated? In terms of, I'm trying to gauge what you are owing ZRA and whether or not you did not have the capacity to liquidate that and continue operating. How healthy and how worth was the post?
How do you liquidate the amount that is not even agreed? I say you owe me, say 10 million kwacha. And you are saying, I don't owe you 10 million kwacha. Let's reconcile this figure. At the end of the day, I push you into bankruptcy. I get a court order to push you into bankruptcy. How much did I owe you? Did you owe me? It's not settled, isn't it? That's the situation with the post. As we stand it today, nobody can come and say the post owes this amount.
The figures were never reconciled?
They were never reconciled.
If we went to ZRA today, we do not have reconciled figures. Because, like you're asking for these audited accounts from the provisional liquidator, we are made to believe that all assets sold off, the proceeds obviously had to be paid to ZRA, which was the biggest liability.
I don't know how the liquidator is going to settle those, but I hear even the ZRA has not received these dues from Mr. Mosho.
As a director of the post in liquidation, I'm sure these were not the only liabilities. Employees were owed salaries, probably maybe a few facilities with the banks. Are you in a position to be aware? Have employees been paid?
Look,
their gratuity?
as far as I know, Mr. Mosho has not paid the employees. He has sold assets, but there's nobody has paid. We don't know who he has paid. Maybe he has just paid himself. The employees are not paid. They are suffering, and the death rate has been quite high. We've lost quite a few people. A good number of people have died due to depression and other sufferings.
One would also, wonder, I'll need to get my facts right in terms of when you look at the Insolvency Act, a provision was added of business, wind-up or business rescue operations. I think should have been 2017 or so. While these things were happening, couldn't that be considered to have this company survive so that it continues contributing to the kitty of the economy?
If they wanted to do that, if they wanted to do things the right way, that would have been the procedure. Even without that Insolvent Act, that's the procedure. When you want to liquidate a company, if the company, you think the company is not paying, it's not meeting its obligation, you put it into receivership and try to get the creditors recover their money. If it fails, then it moves on to liquidation. If it meets its obligations during that receivership, then the company is handed back to its managers and directors. That was not done. They simply walked into the company without even saying, give us this, give us that. They create confusion so that they can steal. They create confusion so that they can benefit themselves. They created unnecessary confusion. If they had done things the right way, the things we are talking about today would not arise. Employees would have been paid their dues.
So you were summoned. Again, I asked you this question. What did police tell you when you were summoned to go to
Last week, I was told there will be a handover of the house. My house, which the police had been occupying for the last 1 year in Mwika village.
On what grounds?
Mr. Mosho again, initially he said, I owe him money. There's a court case that was in the Constitutional Court that he joined, which I lost. And he wanted to secure his costs. So
was this house a property of the Post newspaper?
No.
It was your personal property.
Yes,
it is your personal property.
It's personal property sitting on customary land, which I don't even have title, because the land is common property, it's not mine. And if you know, property is not the building, property is the land. So technically, I don't even own this land. It's communal land. I don't have title deed to it. It's in the village to which many people belong. Even the current Chitumukuru belongs to that village. He can go and build his house in that village. He belongs to that. Even Chief Nkula belongs to that village. It's theirs. It's not my village alone. Yes, I hate that village. I hate the village. It was a village that was founded by my great-grandfather.
So that is the property. So yes, you were told there would be a handover?
Yes, but when I got there, the story changed. Pressure definitely was put on them. Political pressure came. There are people who are scared of the house being handed over. There are two things here. They hand over the house is a problem. They stay in the house is a problem. They think if they hand over the house, then I'll go and stay in the village, and politically they will be at a loss. It's all politics. But with the house, things have changed in Muchinga. Things have changed in Chinsari. They do not have the control of Chinsari politically today. Even if elections are held in Chinsari today or Shuangandu, they will have serious difficulties. And they know it. They admit it privately. They will not admit it publicly.
So when you arrive in Chinsali expecting, a handover, and Mr. Mosho was doing this as a provisional liquidator, police have been surrounding, or have they occupied your house? Or
they have occupied my house from June 22, 2019 to this very day.
A year has gone.
Yes, has gone.
So then you were slapped with these charges and released on a 50,000 kwacha bond?
No, I was not given anything. I was just told, you can go. I just signed this. You can go.
So these allegations, the second count, facing theft by director, $830,000 dollars which belonged to the post in liquidation, realized from the sale, you got this.
How would someone get over $800,000 without interest? Even from the post point of view, it's impossible, because there's no person who can withdraw money, withdraw even 1 ingwe from the post accounts in that manner. It was not a property that was sold for cash, boxes brought to you and you put in your pocket and you go. No. You go to the bank and withdraw that money. And for what? Look, we are not thieves like them. They are thieves, we are not thieves. This is the company we created. We cannot steal from something that we created, we nurtured. We put in all the little we had. To come and steal? For what? If you are honest, truly honest with yourself and others, you can't be corrupted in the way they're suggesting.
So you keep on saying this is all political. Who is sending Mr. Mosho?
It's those who control government today.
Who are those?
During the run-up to the 2016 elections, the member of parliament there made it very clear to all my relatives in the village. Ingande inga tuwawina my elections to Kesa Poka.
The member of parliament being, the Home Affairs Minister now, Stephen
Yes,
Kampion.
Mr. Stephen Kampion.
But he's your young brother. From what I know, you supported him in his campaign.
He's my relative.
He's your relative.
He's my relative.
Do you? We are told you maybe, for lack of a better term, financed or contributed materially to his campaign.
I don't discuss those things. I don't discuss what I've done.
Is it true or not?
I don't discuss what I've done for people.
You supported his ambition.
I don't discuss what I've done for people, no matter how much I differ with him. I used to get on very well with this cousin of mine until when there was a stoning of a helicopter belonging to UPND in the 2016 elections. Young people, if you remember, in Shuangandu, stoned a helicopter that was carrying some UPND officials, including Mrs. Monawasa. I sent him a text. I told him, Kanabesa, this is unacceptable. We cannot condone such violence. What about if that helicopter was brought down and people died in Shuangandu? And you know our people have a tradition of militants. Once you spark that, you push them to violence, they are able to go far. He was not happy with that. He sent me a text saying every dog has its day. The story was, an editorial comment was written in the Post to that effect. We don't want violence. I told him there's no reason for violence. From that day, this dear brother of mine turned against me. And he was making it very clear to our relatives that when he wins the elections in 2016, that house of mine I was building will be turned into a hospital. It's not a hospital, and it will never be a hospital. It's something that has been built with my own resources and over a long period of time. Even as I'm talking to you, the construction was not complete. We're still building.
Last week on the program, or let me say the other week, when I featured you, I asked you a question surrounding the fact that with your being at the post, you made friends, you made enemies. But again, you had influence. The question was that President Edgar Lungu, then Edgar Lungu the lawyer, was a colleague of yours, and you admitted. All these things, happening. Is it not possible that you can put a stop to it simply by reaching out to your friend to say, stop this, if it's a political witch hunt?
Look, I don't deal with individuals on that basis, especially these individuals. I don't deal with them. I'm not a favor seeker.
Not to seek a favor, but
no.
But if an injustice is happening, and you know that with what you described with the courts, things are not going correct, surely, like I asked you, you have the influence and the power. I'm sure you do not have the access to State House or numbers to
don't they know that there's
the presidency?
Don't they know that there's an injustice being committed against me? You go to the same person who is committing an injustice against you to tell him you're committing an injustice against me, please let me go.
The same way you would write an editorial, you can pick a quote and tell him, stop this, political witch hunt.
What have they stopped? Am I the only person they have committed an injustice against? Didn't you see what happened to Akainde the other year? Locked up for 4 months on trumped-up treason charges. After humiliating him, torturing him for 4 months, they released him on a matter they knew very well it was not going anywhere. You can see what has happened to Kambwili. Look at the way they've bundled him from Lusaka here, taking him to the Copper Belt on very filthy grounds, very poor charges. Even their friend, the GBM, look at the way they treated him when he was in UPND. Today, they are darling. Who has opposed them, who they have not treated that way? If I was with them, would they treat me this way? They are treating me this way because I oppose what they do. How else can they defend their criminal activities every day? The injustice that they commit to so many people. It's not only me who are suffering from injustice. Probably the injustice I'm suffering is very small compared to the injustice being committed against other bandits.
If you had a chance, if you met your former friend, I'm talking about President Lungu today, what would you tell him?
My concern will be about the people, the suffering of the people, not mine. They can take all these things that they belong to me. I did not come in this world with anything. I came naked here, and I will live naked. No matter how much you accumulate on this planet, what is it going to do
so
for you?
So you'd not put him to account over the injustices that you claim over the post if you feel there's political pressure?
The biggest injustice is not against me. The biggest injustice is against the people who are suffering. Look, the poverty levels are very high. Look at how many people are destitute in this country. At least I can have 2-3 meals a day. There are many of our people who are hungry. They go to bed hungry every day. There are many of our people who can't put a smile on their faces. Those are the things, if I had an opportunity to talk to him, I would concern myself. Those who are not able to fight for themselves, I'm able to fight for myself. I have a voice. Here you are putting me on your program. Do these ordinary people have the chance to voice out their concerns the way I'm voicing? Are they heard? Me, at least I can be heard. I would rather spend my time fighting for others than fighting for my own small injustices. We say those who are not able to fight for others will never be able to fight for themselves. I would rather spend my time on on causes that I hold dear than so much about personal things. These are not big things to me. They can take whatever they want from me. As long as they don't kill me, I'll be there to live. They thought by closing the post they would have finished me. Here I am. I'm still there. Running a political party. Contesting elections against them next year. They never foresaw this. And they are panicking because they never anticipated that I would jump into this. They never saw this. And also we are making progress in the party. They are feeling the pressure.
You say just there that all this, you assert that all this is being done because of masses in the country looking for alternative, leadership, and your party is growing fast, and you're giving pressure. Are you that alternative that Zambia is looking for?
We are. What else? Every opposition political party in this country is an alternative to those who are in government. Every opposition political party of substance is an alternative. We are an alternative. We may not be the only alternative, but we are an alternative. There are other alternatives, of course, but we are part of those alternatives.
You made it very clear from the get-go that the post was a political project, and you said it died a political death. So does this surprise you? Because this is the efficacy of African politics, sometimes just global politics, that this is how the fight goes. So others will ask, why are you complaining? You know this game better than anybody else.
We are accustomed to this. We are accustomed to their business. How else can they survive without committing injustice against people, without lying, without propaganda, without calumny? How can they survive?
So you expected that this will happen?
Of course. If you get into opposition politics, serious opposition politics, if you oppose those who are in government, this will happen to you. It happened to me as a journalist by simply questioning what they are doing. It has happened to many other politicians in this country. It has happened to Akainde, it has happened to Chimbwiri, it has happened to Dr. Mumba, it has happened to Hari Kalava. It's happening to many, and it will happen to many as long as we continue to govern our country the way we are governing it today, where there's no sense of justice, where there's lawlessness, where the rule of law is so poor, where an individual doesn't like you today can lock you up. As long as this system continues, those who oppose those who are in power will suffer the same fate.
How does this, come to an end? Because history, serves us, right? When Dr. Kaunda was ousted in the 90s, Chiluba persecuted him. Mwanawasa came in, he persecuted, Chiluba. The list, goes on. Obviously, we know that former President Banda had his fair share of the court. So even when governments change, they will still come to persecute over injustices done to them. Will this ever come to an end then?
Firstly, trying to do right in a society that is anchored on wrongdoing attracts this type of reaction. You don't need to be wrong. Christ was humiliated. Was Christ wrong? And here, please get me right, I'm not comparing myself to Christ. I'm nowhere near there. And I will never be anywhere near there. Our Lord was humiliated. Our Lord was tortured. The worst torture you can ever inflict on a human being was inflicted on Christ. What wrong did Christ commit? To a point where even somebody who was supposed to adjudicate in his favor washed his hands. Pontius Pilate washed his hands. Do whatever he wanted to do with this man when he knew he was right.
Like you rightly put it, we are men, so we cannot be Christ, because Christ teaches that we forgive. So with what you're saying, if you had to be president come August of 2021, would you play the Christ role, forgiving those that are persecuting and heaping injustice on you, or you'd want to do the right thing correct the situation and persecute them?
There are wrongs that can be forgiven, and there are also wrongs that have to be punished. It's not vengeance. Even in God's own scheme of things, there is hell. You have heard that people commit certain types of crimes, of sins. They go to hell, isn't it?
Can the injustice that you say of the post being liquidated illegally be forgiven?
Can you accuse God of being vengeful by sending people to hell? In every biblical teaching, there is hell, isn't it? People go to hell. Are we going to say God is not forgiving by sending people to hell? What I'm trying to tell you is there are crimes that have to be punished by society, just as much as there are sins that God punishes, and sometimes eternally so, with no reprieve, no parole. When you go to hell, there's no parole. Nobody goes to hell and comes back. If you have committed certain levels of sins, you may go to purgatory, as Catholics believe. And once you have paid your penance there in purgatory, then you go to heaven. But once you go to hell, it's eternal punishment.
So back to
So God is not vengeful by sending people to hell. Even in our society, there will be sins, there will be crimes that will be punished. And there will be crimes that will be forgiven. And to be forgiven, you have to show contrition. How do you punish somebody who has shown enough contrition?
So back to my question, you're giving that analogy. If you were president next year come August, how would you deal with the people you say are criminals, the people you accuse to be thieves and hurting people with all sorts of injustices?
You know, there's separation.
Would you set up a tribunal to investigate them? Would you persecute them? Or you would simply say vengeance is for the Lord and I forgive them?
We have three arms of government. We have the executive, which is the presidency. We have the judiciary. We have the legislature. I'm not a judge as president. I'm not the judge. Let there be an independent judiciary.
But you will be taking over a country with a constitution that bestows so much power into the presidency. And you will agree with me, Dr. Membe, that you've outrightly spoken about this, that within constitutional reforms, we need to dilute the powers of a president.
It's not
so there is political influence across the arms of the judiciary and the legislature.
It's not even a question of diluting the powers of the president. It's a question of abuse, sometimes of even powers that the person does not have. There are many powers that the president does not have that is exercising today in this country. And I'm not talking about an individual. It has been exercised and done that way by so many other presidents, assuming powers that they do not have. A president today can send you to prison unnecessarily. Can order the police. Today the Minister of Home Affairs orders the police to arrest you. And he has said that. The current Minister of Home Affairs has said that. That if you see so and so Commissioner of Police do this, no, I'm behind it. Is that supposed to be that way? Your arrest or my arrest should be a product of professional judgment by competent police officers. The Minister of Home Affairs is not a police officer. The President is not a police officer. Let the police investigate crimes professionally and arrest and charge, prosecute those who have committed crimes.
So in short, if you are president, you'll ask the prosecution wings to follow up on those injustices.
They have a duty. They don't need to be told by me. They have a duty to investigate all criminal activities. You have DEC, you have ACC, you have the police. All those are supposed to investigate crimes. They don't need to be told by the president to go and investigate that citizen X. Go and investigate citizen Y. Go and investigate or arrest citizen Z. No, that's not the job of the president.
There's two charges that we talk about on this particular interview, obviously now have been lodged. Are there indications that this matter, goes to court? Because you are very emphatic that you feel there's no substance here.
Costa, they will never take these matters to court.
You challenge them?
I'm challenging them. Let's go to court tomorrow. And even if they do, they will not conclude these matters.
Why are you so confident?
They don't have a basis. Look, starting with the liquidation of the post itself is an illegality. It's an illegality that they are perpetrating, and they know it. That what they are doing is illegal. The liquidation of the post is an illegality.
And you are fighting this in court, I believe?
We are fighting it.
Do you have confidence in the justice system?
Well, I'm not happy all the time with the justice system. It has got serious weaknesses that we need to remedy. The judiciary as it stands today does not offer much justice, especially to the poor. Those without money, those without reasonable resources, those without status in society, they are not able to get justice. The elites can get justice, can get some justice. They have the money to pay all sorts of lawyers and so on. The poor don't have that. So it's not a judiciary where everybody gets justice. And we know there are serious weaknesses in the judiciary today, starting even from competences of people and the entire independence of the judiciary.
But we've been discussing judicial reforms in this country for a very long time. Where do we fall short?
We fall short the same way we fall short on the presidents, the same way we fall short on the legislature, the same way we fall short in our families, the same way we fall short in the church, the same way we fall short in the school. We have a shortage of morality. We have a shortage of striving for excellence in everything that we do today. We have a challenge. We need to re-examine our moral basis. We need to re-examine our ideas, our principles, our values as a society.
Morality is one of the values you espouse when we discussed, your manifesto. Just for the sake of rekindling that for the viewers, how under a socialist, leadership do you feel that morality can be bestowed? Is it the basis of prosperity? Is it the basis of good governance?
You start with honest. A society that moves away from honest, a society where the dishonest are rewarded with everything they need, is a society headed for serious problems. A society that is not anchored on equity, where the gaps between the haves and the have-nots is increasing every day. It's a society headed for problems, bigger problems. A society where there's no humility, where pomposity, arrogance is the order of the day, as we see it in Zambia today at every level. It's a society headed for serious problems. A society where there's no solidarity, a society devoid of solidarity, human solidarity, is a society headed for serious problems. A society where nobody cares for the other, where everybody is not the other's keeper, is a society headed for serious problems.
Someone would argue, Dr. Membe, that seems rather theoretical or illusional, like an utopia to achieve, because it's not just possible to see such a society of honesty, complete 100%, solidarity, and so in a human sphere. It's like the jurisprudence argument of naturalism and positivity. You can't just have a naturalist approach.
If you think that is theoretically and useless, take all the Bibles in this country, go and throw them in Lake Tanganyika and Lake Kariba, because they are theoretical. There is an illusion that cannot be achieved. So are you telling me the Christian faith, Christ's teachings are worthless, they are utopia, and we should abandon them? Where is the departure from Christ's teachings on honest? When you demand honest, are you departing from Christ's teachings? Doesn't Christ demand honest? Doesn't Christ demand equity? Doesn't Christ demand humility? Doesn't Christ demand solidarity? Are you telling me that is utopia? If it is utopia, then let's abandon our Christian faith. And it's not only the Christian faith that believes in that. Even Islam believes in those principles. Every authentic religion pursues that. If that is utopia, let's abandon religion.
As we come to a conclusion, do you feel a free man, a free Zambian, to move around and aspire for political office and practice, your democracy?
Freedom is up here. It's not up here where you are shackled. I have a free mind. That comes from having a free conscience. If you have a free conscience, you're a free human being. Even if you live under very restrictive conditions. We live under restrictive conditions, legally and otherwise. But I have a free mind. My conscience is clear. And that clear conscience comes from doing every day what you are supposed to do, doing the right thing every day. And having a clear understanding of yourself as a human being. I have a clear understanding of myself as a human being, and also the value of others. I do not place myself above other human beings. And no human beings should be so full of themselves, no matter how intelligent they think they are, no matter how meritorious they think they are. When you really look at history and look at people who thought so much about themselves, you realize that, the value of an individual as an individual is such a small thing. And one should not be tortured by it. I'm not tortured by my worth as an individual. I'm not even tortured by things where the value of a human being is measured by money. How much money they have in their pockets and in their bank accounts should determine their worth. I don't respect people because of the money they have. But we have a society today that respects people on the basis of money they have.
What do you respect people for?
I respect people for their attitude towards others. I respected Lucy Sichone. She had no money, but she had a heart for other people. I respect Mother Teresa. She had no money. She was a Catholic nun, no money. I respect her. I respected and I still admire the late Bishop de Jong. His commitment to the poor is unequal.
Some accuse you of being contrary to those beliefs, that you do not have a heart for the people.
What is their proof? That is in their heart. Look, I'm not here to live up to their expectations or to their approval. Nor are they here to live up to mine. What they say about me, that doesn't bother me. What matters is me having a clear conscience. I exist in society. Let my deeds speak for themselves. Yes, of course, it's not what I say that matters, it's what I do. Faith without deeds is worthless. Doing is the way of believing. And I think I've performed, wherever I've been, I've performed my duties with sufficient honor and integrity in everything that I've been given to do or have accepted to do.
Let's just get some quick interaction via, messages coming through on our social media pages as well as, through the screen. My guest this afternoon is Dr. Fred Member, the Socialist Party President. We're discussing allegations and obviously charges culminating to his arrest on the 30th of June, which was Tuesday this week. Alleged, sale of property and theft of $830,000 allegations, which Dr. Member, who's my guest right now, disputes and confidently so feels these are malicious and political maneuvers. Let's quickly, Director, get those interactions, whether comments, contributions, or questions. We are supporting you, Comrade Fred Member. Tell them to hand over your house, Eduardo Kumatero. Yes, Mr. Member, time is coming to deal with them, 2021 forward. Make a packet, is it a packet part? Or is it a pact with the DP, sir? I like your voice. We need you people for better Zambia. Commonwealth Muflira Wile. Do we still have more, messages coming through? Wonderful program. Mr. Costa, God is with you, Mr. Membe, and God will vindicate you, Apostle Simon Mutonga. Enjoying the show? Hello, Costa. I'm Emmanuel J. Banda from Kafua. That is a really, really good topic. Thank you so much, for those. I think those are basically, comments, coming through. In conclusion, what message do you have to clarify this matter? Obviously, the story broke, last night to your supporters. Are you in a broken spirit? Are you stronger? Do you still emphasize that these matters are malicious and will not see them in court for you to have your day to prove that all this is baseless?
Comrade Costa, stealing would break my heart. I'll reveal something to you. I stole once in my life, and it was 20 ngwe in 1968 when I was in grade 4. The teacher who was teaching me, a Miss Margaret Mukwiza, who was brought up by my great-grandmother, who I was living with. And on a Friday, one Friday, she gave me 20 ngwe. 20 ngwe was a lot of money in 1968 to go and give my great-grandmother. I thought the two would not meet. So we went and bought vitumbua with my friends, ate, finished the 20 ngwe. Unfortunately for me, that Sunday they met at church, New Apostolic Church. And she was asked, did you receive the 20 ngwe I gave Freddy to come and give you? She was Lozi. On my mother's side, I'm Lozi. She came blazing like a Mbaula. I was denounced, kanyukunyuku tuwe kashori tuwe. I cried. The following day, on Monday, I didn't go to school. I thought the teacher would tell my classmates what I'd done. But I liked school, so Tuesday I had to go. And indeed, to my fear, the class was told. I was humiliated. That was 1968. I still feel as if it's just happening now. From that day, I've never taken anything that is not my due. If I stole today, the pain would not be the pain inflicted by getting me arrested. It would be the pain that is created inside me by my own conscience. I'm not above the law, and I'll never place myself above the law. If I do anything wrong, let me be treated like everybody else. If I commit a crime, let me be treated like any other person who has committed a crime. But like every other citizen of this country, like every other human being, give me fairness. Don't indict me unfairly. Don't accuse me falsely. Even biblically we are told, so don't accuse people falsely, no matter how much you hate them. The whole intention of all these charges, of all these allegations against me, is to try to humiliate me. But you can't humiliate me because I've not done anything wrong. What would humiliate me, even without anybody raising an allegation against me, would be for me to do wrong things. I'm very self-critical. I examine a lot of things I do on a daily basis to see if I was wrong, to see if I was carried away by pride, I was carried away by emotion, I was carried away by ego, and try to correct those things on a daily basis. I'm human. But I do a stock take every day at the end of the day to see what I did. Did I do it right? Did I conduct myself in the right way? Was I fair? And so on. I do a stock take.